The Lagos skyline glittered like spilled gold against the darkening sky, but Kendrick Cole barely noticed. He sat in the back of his chauffeured SUV, scrolling through the details of a billion-dollar merger. His assistant's voice droned over Bluetooth, listing the clauses that still needed his approval. Then his second phone, the one only family and a few trusted contacts had, buzzed. It was Grace Ebo, Malik's school counselor. "Kendrick, I know you're probably busy," Grace began hesitantly, "but I'm worried about Malik. He's been unusually withdrawn, quiet. He's been skipping art class, the one thing he loves. Today, he got into an argument with another boy and refused to explain. It's not like him." Kendrick's brows furrowed. "Is he hurt?" "No. Physically, he's fine. But emotionally," she trailed off. "He needs you. Soon." Kendrick stared at the half-finished coffee on the seat beside him. He'd been in Johannesburg for almost 2 weeks, chasing a deal that had the potential to catapult his tech company into the global elite. Tasha, his girlfriend of 8 months, was at home with Malik. She'd insisted she could handle things. "I'll call him tonight," Kendrick replied, already glancing at his schedule. Grace's tone was gentle but firm. "With respect, Mr. Cole, I think you should see him. In person." That night, Kendrick sat in his hotel suite, room service untouched. The voices of the deal makers echoed in his head, promising him a future no man could walk away from. Yet Grace's words haunted him. "He needs you. Soon." At 2 a.m., Kendrick opened his laptop and booked the first flight home without telling a soul. By mid-afternoon the next day, Kendrick's private jet descended into Lagos. He refused the usual reception, no photographers, no assistants waiting at the tarmac. He wanted to be invisible. His driver dropped him a block from his own mansion. Kendrick walked the rest of the way, suitcase rolling over the smooth driveway stones. The sprawling glass and steel estate stood as a testament to his success, but for the first time, it felt cold. Inside, the house was unusually quiet. No faint hum of the TV from the living room. No Malik laughing or chatting with the housekeeper. Kendrick's polished shoes made soft clicks on the marble floor as he headed upstairs. Halfway down the hallway, he heard it, muffled sounds from Malik's room. He slowed, straining. It wasn't music. It was sobbing. He placed his suitcase quietly against the wall and moved closer. Through the partially open door, he caught glimpses of his son's small frame hunched over, shoulders trembling. And then, another voice, sharp, slicing through the air. "You're so ungrateful, Malik. Do you know how lucky you are? Your father works himself to the bone for you, and this is how you behave." It was Tasha. Kendrick froze at the threshold. The tension in the air was electric, and something deep inside him told him not to announce himself just yet. From his vantage point, Kendrick could see Malik clutching a torn sketchbook to his chest, his knuckles white. Tasha stood over him in a silk robe, hair perfectly styled, one manicured hand gripping the other half of the sketchbook. This is why you ignore me? To draw? Useless nonsense," she sneered, flipping through pages before ripping another one clean out. "Stop." Malik's voice cracked, and the sound made Kendrick's stomach twist. "You can't even look me in the eye," Tasha continued, tossing the torn page onto the floor. "Maybe if you actually tried to be sociable instead of hiding with your crayons, people would like you more." Kendrick's pulse roared in his ears. Every protective instinct he had screamed to step in, but something held him frozen. Maybe it was the shock. Maybe it was the way Malik's eyes darted toward the door, toward him, but didn't change. No relief. No smile. Just a quiet resignation that stabbed Kendrick deeper than Tasha's words ever could. He realized, with a cold sinking in his chest, that this scene might not be new to his son. Kendrick's grip tightened on the doorframe. He had faced down hostile takeovers, cutthroat boardroom battles, and billionaire rivals who would bury him without blinking. But this, his own son, cowering before the woman he'd trusted, rendered him speechless. Tasha turned, sensing movement. "Kendrick!" she exclaimed, voice shifting into sweet surprise. You're home early. I was just having a talk with Malik about manners. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Kendrick stepped in slowly, scanning the room. Torn sketches littered the floor like fallen leaves. Malik kept his gaze fixed on them, shoulders hunched. Is that what this is? Kendrick asked quietly, but his tone carried steel. Tasha placed a hand on her hip. He was being disrespectful. Ignoring me. I thought I'd teach him a lesson before it got worse. A lesson? Kendrick's eyes burned into her. By tearing apart the one thing he loves. She hesitated, her jaw tightening. You're overreacting. Kendrick knelt beside Malik. Son, are you okay? Malik's lips parted, but no sound came. He simply gave a small shrug, and that, more than words, told Kendrick how far things had gone. Malik finally looked at his father, and the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes shattered Kendrick's composure. This wasn't just surprise at seeing him home early, it was doubt. You're here. Malik whispered, as though testing if it was real. I'm here, Kendrick said, voice low. Malik nodded slightly but didn't move closer. The gap between them, physical, emotional, was a canyon Kendrick hadn't realized existed until now. It wasn't built in a day. It had been carved slowly, over months of absence, missed dinners, and broken promises. Tasha cleared her throat. Kendrick, I think we should talk privately. No, Kendrick said flatly, still kneeling beside Malik. We'll talk later. Tasha crossed her arms, her glossy nails tapping against her forearm, but she didn't push. Kendrick took Malik's sketchbook from the floor and gathered the torn pages. We'll fix these, he said softly, but his son's small, hesitant nod told him the damage wasn't just to paper. As Kendrick left the room with Malik at his side, one thing crystallized in his mind. The empire he'd been building meant nothing if this was the cost. The living room smelled faintly of Tasha's expensive vanilla candle, the kind she liked to light before guests arrived. But there were no guests, only the three of them, locked in a quiet storm. Tasha perched elegantly on the white leather sofa, legs crossed, silk robe now replaced by a fitted designer dress, as if an outfit change could rewrite what Kendrick had seen upstairs. Kendrick, she began, her voice smooth, you're misunderstanding what happened. Malik's been distant, sulking, ignoring me for days. I was trying to bring him out of his shell. Kendrick remained standing, arms crossed. By destroying his work? By calling him ungrateful? She tilted her head. Sometimes, children need tough love. My mother was the same way with me, and look how I turned out. Kendrick's eyes flicked to Malik, who sat silently at the far end of the couch, his knees drawn to his chest. You're comparing your childhood to mine, Kendrick said evenly, but Malik is not you. He doesn't need someone to crush him to make him stronger. Tasha's lips tightened. You're blowing this out of proportion. I've been the one here while you've been halfway across the world. And maybe that's the problem, Kendrick replied, his tone like ice. That night, Kendrick insisted they all have dinner together. He had the chef prepare Malik's favorite, jollof rice with grilled chicken, hoping to create some sense of normalcy. But the meal was anything but normal. The long glass dining table seemed larger than usual. Tasha sat across from Kendrick, smiling sweetly whenever his eyes met hers, though the tension in her jaw betrayed her. Malik sat beside his father, picking at his food without really eating. So, Malik, Tasha said brightly, how was school today? Malik's fork clinked against the plate. Fine. That's all, she pressed, still with that rehearsed smile. Kendrick shot her a look. If he says fine, it's fine. The rest of the meal passed with nothing but the faint hum of the air conditioner and the occasional clink of silverware. It was the kind of silence that screamed. When Malik excused himself early, Kendrick let him go. He turned to Tasha, who was already sipping her wine. I don't want another scene like this morning. Ever. Tasha leaned back, crossing her arms. Maybe if you were around more, I wouldn't have to handle things alone. The next morning, Kendrick dropped Malik at school himself. After watching his son disappear into the building, he parked the car and asked the receptionist to call Grace Ebo. She met him in her modest office, walls lined with student art projects. I wasn't sure you'd come, she admitted, offering him tea. I had to, Kendrick replied, settling into the chair. Tell me the truth. How bad is it? Grace sighed. Malik's a gifted child. His sketches are extraordinary. But lately, he's withdrawn, anxious. He flinches when certain topics come up, like home life, and has stopped drawing in class altogether. Kendrick's jaw clenched. He told you this. He didn't have to. Children speak volumes without words, she said gently. He needs stability, safety, and most of all, you. Kendrick rubbed a hand over his face. I thought I was giving him everything by building this company. Grace shook her head. You were giving him security, yes, but not presence, and no one else can give him that. That evening, Kendrick found his brother, Ezekiel, waiting in the driveway leaning against his black SUV. I heard you were back, Ezekiel said, clasping his brother's hand. You didn't tell me. It was sudden, Kendrick replied, leading him inside. Over coffee in the kitchen, Kendrick relayed what had happened. Ezekiel's expression darkened with each word. Kendrick, I've been telling you for months. You've been blind. Chasing deals while your boy is drowning. Kendrick bristled. You think I don't know that now? I think you've been pretending not to, Ezekiel shot back. You're my brother, and I love you, but Malik is more than your heir. He's your son. He needs a father, not just a provider. Kendrick's silence was answer enough. Ezekiel leaned forward. If Tasha's been like this when you're here, imagine when you're not. The weight of that landed hard. Later that night, Kendrick knocked softly on Malik's bedroom door. Come in, came the small voice. The boy was sitting cross-legged on the floor, sketching quietly. Kendrick sat beside him. Can I see? Malik hesitated, then handed over the drawing, a city skyline under a dark cloud, with a single figure standing alone. Kendrick swallowed. You are very talented, son. As he placed the sketch on the bed, his eyes caught something under it, a small box tucked just beneath the mattress. Curious, he pulled it out. Inside were dozens of folded papers, worn at the edges. Malik's eyes widened. Don't. But Kendrick gently unfolded one. In shaky handwriting, it read, Dear Dad, please come home soon. I miss you. Another. It's okay if you're busy, but maybe we can have dinner one night? Just us. And another. I think Tasha doesn't like me. I try to be good, but she still gets mad. Kendrick's throat tightened. Why didn't you give these to me? Malik shrugged. You're busy, and I didn't want to make you mad. Kendrick pulled his son into a hug. No more letters I never see. No more thinking you can't talk to me. That ends now. In that moment, he knew the $1 billion deal could crumble to dust, and it wouldn't matter. He wasn't leaving his son's side again. Kendrick's phone buzzed before sunrise. 3 missed calls from his COO, 2 from the lead investor. He finally answered. Cole, came the clipped voice of Gerald, his largest shareholder. What the hell is going on? You left Johannesburg in the middle of negotiations. The merger is collapsing. Our rivals are circling. Kendrick leaned against the kitchen counter, coffee in hand, watching Malik eat cereal at the table. I had a family emergency. A family emergency. Gerald scoffed. We're talking billions. Kendrick cut him off. Gerald, I don't care if it's billions. I won't apologize for putting my son first. The silence on the other end was heavy. You're making a mistake, Gerald warned. Kendrick glanced at Malik, who gave him a small, almost shy smile. Maybe, but it's the right one. He hung up. That weekend, Kendrick and Tasha attended a high-profile charity gala. Photographers swarmed as they stepped out of his Bentley. Tasha clung to his arm, dazzling in a red satin gown, flashing smiles that didn't reach her eyes. Inside, she played the role of doting partner, telling journalists about our wonderful home life and calling Malik a joy to raise. Kendrick kept his face composed, but every word scraped against him. Midway through the night, one interview asked about Malik's art. Tasha laughed lightly. "Oh, you know kids, drawing silly little things. He'll grow out of it." Kendrick's jaw tightened. He leaned into the mic. "For the record, my son's art isn't silly. It's extraordinary." His voice was calm but firm, and the crowd noticed. Tasha's smile faltered. For the first time, the crack showed. Back home, the moment the front door shut, Tasha spun on him. "What was that? Undermining me in front of the press." Kendrick dropped his cufflinks on the counter. "You embarrass my son in front of strangers. You're lucky I didn't say more." She stepped closer, eyes blazing. "You think he's some perfect little angel? He's spoiled, Kendrick. He hides in his room, doesn't even try to bond with me. And you let him get away with it." "He's a child," Kendrick shot back. "You're supposed to protect him, not tear him down." Her voice rose. "He's holding you back. You could have a life without the constant baggage." Kendrick's voice was steel. "If you call my son baggage one more time, you'll regret it." The next morning, Kendrick was already dressed when Tasha came downstairs. A suitcase stood by the door. She glanced at it, then at him. "What's this?" "You're leaving," Kendrick said flatly. She laughed bitterly. "You think you can just throw me out after everything I've done for you?" "I don't think," he said. "I know." She stepped forward, lowering her voice. "You'll regret this. You'll regret making an enemy out of me." Kendrick didn't flinch. "Maybe, but I'll never regret protecting my son." She grabbed her handbag, heels clicking sharply as she stormed out. The slam of the front door echoed through the house, but for the first time in months, Kendrick felt the air clear. With Tasha gone, Kendrick decided Malik needed something more than just quiet. He needed joy. "Pack a bag," Kendrick told him on Friday afternoon. "Where are we going?" Malik asked cautiously. "Somewhere with no meetings, no phone calls, and definitely no Tasha." They drove to a lakeside cabin Kendrick had bought years ago but never visited. The weekend was filled with fishing at dawn, drawing together by the fireplace, and long talks over hot cocoa. On the second night, Malik handed him a sketch, the two of them side by side, fishing poles in hand, smiling. Kendrick studied it, feeling something warm and steady settle in his chest. "I'm going to frame this," he said. Malik grinned for the first time in weeks. Kendrick thought to himself, "This is what I've been missing." The peace didn't last. 1 week after their bonding weekend, Kendrick woke up to a flurry of notifications on his phone. Tasha had resurfaced on Instagram, posting carefully curated photos from their relationship, vacations, dinners, moments that looked perfect but hid the truth. Her captions dripped with insinuations. Sometimes, the ones who smile in public are the ones who hurt you in private. Entertainment blogs picked it up immediately. Hashtags with his name trended. Speculation spread like wildfire. Kendrick's PR team called, urging him to issue a statement denying any wrongdoing. But when he looked at Malik quietly sketching at the kitchen table, he knew this wasn't about protecting his brand anymore. It was about protecting his son's truth. That afternoon, Kendrick went live on his company's official page. "I've stayed silent for Malik's privacy," he began, voice steady, "but lies have a way of spreading. The truth is simple. I ended my relationship because I will not stand by while my son is mistreated. He is my priority. Always." He didn't name Tasha, but the implication was crystal clear. Within hours, messages of support flooded in, from parents, from art teachers, from strangers who saw him not as a billionaire, but as a father standing up for his child. Malik's school principal even sent an email. "We're proud of both of you. When Kendrick read it aloud, Malik looked up from his drawing and whispered, "Thanks for having my back." "Always," Kendrick said, ruffling his hair. Grace Ebo, Malik's school counselor, took a more active role in his life. She invited him to join an after-school art program and personally coached him for a citywide youth art competition. One afternoon, Kendrick arrived early to pick him up and peeked into the art room. Malik was bent over his easel, tongue sticking out in concentration, while Grace gently guided his strokes. "He's a natural," Grace whispered to Kendrick in the hallway, and this competition could be a turning point for him. That night, Malik showed his father the piece he was working on, a painting of a man stepping through a doorway into a sunlit room where a child waited. Kendrick's throat tightened. "It's beautiful, son. It's us." The competition date loomed, and Kendrick made a decision that sent shockwaves through his company. At a Monday board meeting, he announced, "I'm restructuring the company to work remotely half the week. No more back-to-back overseas trips. No more missing dinners." The board murmured in disbelief. One investor asked, "You're risking efficiency for personal reasons." Kendrick met their gaze without blinking. "I'm risking nothing. I'm gaining my life back." That night, he told Malik, "You're stuck with me now. No more disappearing acts." Malik laughed, a full, unguarded laugh Kendrick hadn't heard in months. "Good. I was starting to forget what you looked like." The competition hall buzzed with parents, judges, and eager young artists. Malik stood nervously by his easel as his painting was unveiled, "The Day My Dad Came Home." It showed a figure in a suitcase at his side, stepping into a warm-lit room where a boy waited with open arms. The judges were visibly moved. When Malik's name was called for first place, the applause was thunderous. Kendrick hugged him tightly, whispering, This is better than any deal I've ever closed." After the ceremony, Malik looked up at him and said, "I think I'm going to make another painting. This one will be called The Day My Dad Stayed." Kendrick smiled through the lump in his throat. "I can't wait to see it." In that moment, surrounded by cheers and flashing cameras, he knew his real legacy wouldn't be his company, his wealth, or his name. It would be the boy holding the trophy beside him. The end.